Welcome, everyone. This is Lori Anderson. I'm with Alexander Art. We're excited to be here tonight. We have Tom Anderson in the house, and he's going to answer your questions. And want to welcome everybody here. And if you haven't already, please put your name and where you're tuning in from in the chat. We'd love to know who's here with us tonight. We've done a couple different things since we saw you a few nights ago. Let me back up. I want to welcome all of you that are watching live, and then also those of you that are going to watch the replay. We're just really happy you're here. All right, I'm sorry. I was just making sure you guys could hear me. So tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to have a Q&A, and Tom is here, and normally, when we are with Tom in the studio, we have 3 cameras in his studio. And tonight, what we've done is we've brought all 3 cameras on. And so when he answers your question and he demonstrates something, you're going to see it up close and personal. So it'll be really exciting. I think you're going to really enjoy what you see tonight. We have some questions that have already come in, and we're going to start with those. And then again, if you have questions, put them in the chat. And if you have, make sure you put a big capital Q in the front of it so we don't miss your question. But we're just going to have an enjoyable evening tonight and answer your questions. And I just want to say congratulations to many of you that have already painted this painting. It's so exciting to see your rendition of Tom's painting. So again, remember, if you paint it, you can submit it to us at photos@alexanderart.com, and we're going to be selecting some to review on Tom's birthday on October 6th. So even if you've already turned it in and you want to paint it again and again and again, you can send another one in to us. We want you to get the most out of this program while it's up there. Again, the video is going to be available until October 6th, and then it will come down. So tonight, if we have time, depending on how many questions we have, Tom did one review today just to show you what the value of having a review by Tom is. So it's about a 10-minute video, and we'll show it at the end of the evening. So I'd like to bring Tom in. Tom, welcome.
Welcome.
We're excited you're here. So we love, oh, by the way, everyone, that painting that's behind Tom, he finished it today in our Beyond class. And I know that you guys are probably really excited to see it because the other night the camera wasn't quite as good as the cameras are tonight. So Tom, we're really excited that you're here. And
thank you.
We want to thank you for your commitment to helping everybody become even better. So with that, I think we will, let me see if there's anything I missed. With that, we're going to go ahead and get started. And so we're going to start with the questions that were sent in or posted on YouTube before. And so I'm going to go ahead and just show it up here. Trahan MD wants to know this, Tom. What medium do you use to thin the paint while using the liner brush? Now, there's 3 questions here. One is, what medium do you use? He wants to know if water will work. And then he would like you to elaborate on how to thin paint to use for the liner brush. So you tell me when you want to go to the palette. I'm sure you're going to demonstrate that. So
okay. I got the question, Lori.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Can we turn around like this? Would this be okay? Can you see me this way, Lori?
Yes, I can see you. Yeah, that's fine. That's just fine.
Okay, so by the way, before we start this, if we could do the palette shot, I want to show everybody this last stage of the painting this is the colors that I use to finish off the painting. So I can take that off now and make a little area here for you. I have the magic clear. Okay, so let me remove this. This is that nice palette I was using for the painting. Okay, and I have my art wipe over here. So this way I'll have a little room to do something. Hold on one second. Get this art wipe, take it off. Might as well take that off
Hey,
while I'm at it.
Tom,
Can you
while
see
you're
me?
doing that, yes, Tom, while you're doing that, can I just mention how much we love those glass palettes, those
Oh
white
yeah,
glass
I do.
palettes? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, well, Lori sent this to me. It's a glass palette that has a white underneath the back of it. And when I clean, it's just so simple just to wipe everything right off of there. Just you put it on and pick it up, and the art wipes just take everything off. It's beautiful. I love it. Really nice. Thank you, Lori. Okay, so you want to make thinner. You want to take your black or any color or that you're making, and you want to make your branches. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just make a color. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. Show you a little trick, you guys. Watch this. Here's yellow. And just jump right to the chase. Here's violet. Now, there's a lot of ways to make brown. I can do I can do yellow, alizarin crimson. Well, wait a minute. I can make an orange and then add blue, and I'll make brown. So many different ways, you guys. But let me do the violet. Watch. That's violet, and isn't that a pretty brown? Look at that. So I'm just going to do that. Now you want to make a branch on a tree. You can deepen this with a little blue to it. It'd get black. Okay. All right. Leave that. And now I'm going to take my magic clear. I'll put this on the palette. I already have a little in there, but you might as well see it. This is the medium I use. It's completely clear. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, right? Yeah, look at it. It's not yellow or anything. It's just clear. Clear like water. Clear like Leonardo da Vinci's oil. And a lot of other great painters. There you go. I poured a little bit in there. And I'm going to take my liner brush. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of dip into your clear, pick it up, and get it inside here and just wiggle it out like this. That'll thin it. And then you can draw your branches like that. Okay? It's that simple. That was actually a pretty easy question. Anybody got harder ones? No, I'm just kidding. Now you can't use water because you're working with traditional oils. So you're just using this is a clear oil like water. It looks like water, but you wouldn't use water because then it would resist it. The water and the oil don't combine. There are ways to make the water and the oil combine, but that's a lot of chemistry that I'd have to talk about and break down for you. It would take a while to talk about that, but I know how to do it. I've actually done it. So let's see. Yeah, let's see. That's drawing really well. See that? And that's on a slick palette. All right, like that one. Make sure you guys keep getting good liner brushes because you want to make sure your brushes are nice and supple. I'm going to do it again with this brush. See how this one works. That was a little bit less stiff. You got to clean your brushes well. So that's that for the oil. That's just the magic clear. Very clear oil. That's probably why the painting's so bright, because I got all that clear oil in there. That's probably not. Probably it is the answer. I hope I answered that. Did I answer that for you?
You did, Tom. My question is, would you say that when you're doing branches, do you make it as thin as like an ink-like consistency? Would you go that thin?
Yeah, you want it thin because you can't move paint that's thick with a liner brush. How are you going to do that? You can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just wondering about how thin, like if you were going to compare it to something
Well, as long as you know you can, that's why I did this, Lori. If you look, I loaded this up in here, go back to the palette, load it up. Now watch, when I thin this out, I make sure that I can draw with it. I can draw a shape. You see that?
Yeah.
If I can't draw a shape and it's so thick, it just doesn't work. Well, that's pretty good. I guess I thinned it enough after doing it several times. There you go. But you just want to thin it down, not so much that it's just not going to show up. It's a kind of a fine line between really thin and thick. You got to get it sort of in between so that it draws anything down there. Now see that? There you go. So just test it on your palette. You'll see when it works well. Sometimes it takes a little time to get the feel of it, of exactly how thick and thin you want it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
All right.
a good answer?
That's a great answer. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Since you're down,
can I finish that answer a little bit more?
oh, absolutely.
This just hit me while I was thinking about that. I remember when I first started doing that, it felt to me like, how do I know exactly how thin I want it and how thick I want it? So I just had to keep going back and feeling it out. Sometimes I'd make it so thin it'd be transparent. Well, if it's so transparent, you're not going to see it. So you kind of got to get a feel between it being a little bit not transparent and then not too thick. So there's a fine line between thin and really thin and too thick. So over time, the more you do it, the more you'll get it. You'll feel it, and you'll know exactly how much oil to add, and you'll be able to adjust it as you go. Now, here's the thing: if you do it really, really thin and you can see it, and it's just translucent, don't panic, because you can thicken it and go right over that thin line you have, and it'll actually become more solid and opaque. So it's like right there. It's solid. So don't ever worry about that. If your canvas is dry, might as well say this. Here's the beautiful thing. The Magic Clear is made so that if you are painting on a dry canvas, it's going to adhere to the canvas so that it's not going to damage the canvas and you're not going to ruin it or take paint off when you paint on a dry canvas. So you can go back and forth with this in a wet on wet and also a dry canvas. That's what I wanted to get out. Oh.
Yeah, Tom, the only thing I would add to that is that's a pretty small container of Magic Clear, but it's very, very concentrated. It'll last you a long time. You just need drops, right?
That's exactly right. And it just little bit goes a long way for a really good reason, because you notice it's not yellow. So I want you to think about that. Yellow is a skin that's around all oil. So if you remove that skin and you end up with the pure oil on the inside, then you have a concentrated version of that oil, and it doesn't have this mucilage around the oil molecule. So therefore, you're getting a really high quality product. When the yellow's around that, it tends to break the paint up, make it drag a little bit. It shatters the paint, but the pure oil makes it smooth and gradual. It's so beautiful. Lori knows how hard we had to work to get this right. And when you get it clear like that, I have it in writing that Leonardo da Vinci used it, Titian used it, all these masters in the Renaissance used it because they wanted an oil that would work and slide and dry at the same time. When you have that yellow in there, it's just breaking up, and it's hard to control. So you have to work 10 times harder to get whatever you want. Sorry, guys, that's just the truth.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Tom. I noticed Dawn posted the link to that Magic Clear in the comments. So if anybody's interested in going out and look at that product, there is a link in the comments. All right. So since we're down at the palette, let's go ahead and answer David's question. David Sonnet asked, is there a way to make black without using black? And I know this is one of your favorite things to show, Tom.
It's insane. I Oh, this is so funny. I was in a classroom one time, and I don't know why this person said this, but they said, I went on YouTube or something. I saw somebody, and they said, you can't make black with just yellow, red, and blue. And I said, well, then what have I been doing for all these years? I might as well quit now because I've been doing it for years. You can make black with just yellow, red, and blue. You can make black with, well, you make an orange, then you add more blue to it, becomes deep brown, and then you add more red to it, more blue, and you get a black. So let me give you a demonstration, okay? It's really important to know this. Everybody should know this. It's a big deal in art. I'm sorry I keep turning around, you guys, but I just have to do it on the palette. It's just the way. Now I have brown here that I made with yellow and violet. Why don't I just make some black out of that real quick? And then I'll do the other thing that I was going to do. So I use yellow and violet. Okay. I'm going to take some of this off just so I don't confuse you. Okay. So now I'm going to add blue to that. So yellow and violet. Okay. I'll just pick some blue up, add it to this. I really deepened it. Okay. So I'm mixing it down. Right now I grabbed a lot of blue. So I overrode. Here's the thing, guys. It's called overriding a color. When you override a color, you kind of take out the purpose of moving towards a color sometimes. So right now it's super blue, bluish gray. Actually, that's more in a, right now it looks more like a Prussian blue. So let me get back into yellow. That'll turn green. Watch closely. And then I'll do something else. So I've got a greenish color. All right, now I want to turn green brown. So red, and I hope you're writing this down. Red, alizarin crimson, and a green color will turn brown. So I'm going to add some alizarin. Like how much quantity? I would just start slow. I would start really slow and add once you see the green, add a little bit of red, add a little bit more, add a little bit more. You're going to have to experiment. We do have a great course that Lori's putting together about how to make colors. All right, I may have to put out more alizarin. So I grabbed a ton of blue. And blue is the strongest color in your palette, you guys. It's even stronger than violet, actually. All right. So I didn't use any phthalo green. You noticed that, right? I just want to make sure you understood that. I'm just trying to get a good mix here. All right, I need more red. I can see that. So I might have to put more red out. I've got some red right there, some alizarin. So I'm going with more alizarin now. Real quickly here. Now, the way you test this is with white. That's starting to look a little dark now. If it has a green tone to it, that means more red. Okay. We have the lights turned down a little bit so you guys could see that sky and the painting up there. Because when the lights are fully on here, sometimes it's really hard to see the background. All right, let's see. Let's see what we have. I'm going to take a little white with my finger, put it right there. Hope everybody's seeing this. Touch a little bit of that, mix it in, and if it starts looking gray, then you know you went the right way, and it is. Do you see that? So what did I make that with? It's hard to remember, huh? So I made it with yellow and violet originally. Then I added blue because the yellow and the violet make brown. Then I added blue, and the blue made it cooler. So then I had to add more alizarin to get it back to a warmer color, and I equalized it just in the right amount to turn it nice gray. You see how nice that gray is? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? So let's go at it another way. Okay? Clean off this knife real quick. You can put your paint, if you guys want, you can get a little aluminum foil and put your paint in aluminum foil and fold it up and put it in the freezer and then pull it out later. Or you can put it in a Tupperware container. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. You don't really want to waste that, do you? All right, cleaning off the knife and the palette. I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way before I start knocking everything over. It can happen. Okay, so now let's just do yellow, red, and blue. And I'm going to actually go ahead and put out the tubes because I've thinned this paint just a little bit because I was moving it around on the palette. So I'm going to, when I teach my Beyond class, sometimes I put a little of the Magic Clear in there to stretch the paint. So I'm moving the paint constantly. So here it is out of the tube thicker, the way you're doing the wet on wet. Okay. And there's other ways to paint, you guys. That's what the Beyond class is all about. Here's alizarin. Let me put it here. So if I'm doing the Beyond class and I take the paint, I dip it in the oil, and then I thin the paint a little bit and move it on to another palette. That way you're saving paint and you're not, wasting stuff. And I'll put some blue here in front. Phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is very strong. Watch out. Okay. Palette knife cleaned off. Let's pick up some yellow. Put it there. Nice, beautiful paint. When you work with a beautiful paint, you know what, you guys? You really feel kind of like you're really doing some great stuff. Makes you feel good. All right, now if we add alizarin, about that much, there's always going to be a little bit more yellow than red. Because every one of these colors, the darker they get stronger. And that means back off a little bit. You try to just remember, here's a good rule. I think I'm just going by what I think I should say. Start with a little more yellow and get only like half of the red to it, or a quarter, and then add a little bit more as you go. Because the red is really strong. When I get to the blue, I'm going to try to grab less. You'll see. So now I added in. See how strong that red is? Look, wow. That's amazing. If I added more red, then I'd be really, really into a super deep red. So you gotta make sure there's a little bit more yellow than red. Okay, are the lights good in here? Does that look good on camera? Because that looks pretty good here. All right.
It looks good, Tom.
Yeah, it really looks good here. It looks like I was saying during the video, it looks like butter. Bill used to say you want to eat the paint. Kind of funny, huh? All right, you guys ready?
Hey, Tom, while you're mixing that, somebody asked what brand of paint, and Dawn put a link to our store where you can get our paint, but maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, the paint is nice. It's thick. It's got great consistency. You can see it looks like butter, and when you marbleize with it, it just gives you structural properties. Some paint, now that depends. Like if you're doing the wet on wet, you're going to want it more thick because you're mixing into that white, which is softening it down. So think about this. If you had a really, really loose paint, like the paint I've moved up here is a little looser because I've been moving it with a little oil in it. So I wouldn't really want to do the wet on wet with those because they've been worked down, so that I can do thinner layers, like traditional. Well, they call it traditional art because it's less paint as you build up more and more and more over time. When you're doing the wet on wet and you've got the white on, you're digging into that white, and so you're kind of modeling into a thin paint, but the thick is mixing with it. So you have a different process, but it's still all basically the same idea. It's just a matter of using a thicker paint worked into that magic white. That's where the idea comes from. Did I get it, Lori?
You got it.
All right. So now I'm going to be careful with the blue. See the blue? I'm using less. Less is best with the blue. That blue will go forever. But look how strong it is. Look at this. Now, if it turns green, all I need to do is add a little more red. It might turn green on you because the yellow's very strong too. And it is. It's turning a little greenish. Greenish, you guys. It's kind of greenish. Mix it in. Hope this isn't boring you guys, this mixing process. Now I want to go back to red because I was super careful because I can override the red. I can really overdo that. And the blue. So now I'll show you that I have a greenish tone. Watch. I'll take some white, put it down here. I'll add a little bit, and it's kind of a murky green. That's actually beautiful for far away mountains and hills and trees. That's perfect, actually. And a little more red in there, make it grayer. But let me go back to the red. See, I'm sneaking up on it, really. One of my students just loves it when I say that. Sneaking up on it. I'm going to add a little more red, being more careful now. Now it's going to start getting a brownish hue. If I add more red, the green becomes more brown again. And see, that's your job. Your job when you do this, no matter what color you're mixing, if you see brown, that's where you want to go to get the black. Because then you just put blue in. I don't know if I put enough in. I'm going to have to check it. I'll see if it looks brown off to the side. I think I have to add a little more. The lighting in here is not the best right now. It's hard to see for me. I'm going to add a little bit more red just to be on the safe side. Alizarin.
Linda, if you want to bring the lights up a little bit, go ahead.
All right. Now I'm starting to get like you guys, this is starting to look kind of like a chocolatey brown. I think. I'll tell you one thing. I was watching that video of me painting that painting, Lori. I'm not boring, am I? That's one. I kept saying, do you see that? Do you see that? All right, let's see if that looks brownish. If it's brownish, a brownish color, you'll can only tell if you do the white. All right, so now I'm just using my finger here. And it should have more of a brown. Yes, it does. Look. Kind of a gray brown. Well, now that I know that, blue is the answer to black. Okay? So you're going to get green every time you start. Trust me. Unless you really override it with yellow and red. I mean, red and blue. Then you might end up with a violet gray. But now I'm going to add, that's a nice brown, actually. I like to keep that. That's a job. That's something I should do. So that's brown. Now I'm going to add blue. So I'm still not going to overdo the blue because the blue changes everything fast. But that's about how much, compared to that dollop right there, I want about what? That's less than a quarter. It's still strong enough to change it into black, I think. So let's see what happens. Yeah, you don't want to shove it into too much of a blue side. That's better. Thanks for turning the light up. It was hard to see my colors. So I'm just going to work this in now. Now, when I put the white in, it should look gray. Q&A. Q&A is, you know what? Q&A is the way. That's a good one, huh? Q&A is the way, you guys. All right, now it's looking pretty black. The only way you're going to find out and really know is if you add white to check it to see if it looks gray. Man, that looks good. All right, ready? So white first. I'm going down here. Wiping off my fingers all the time. I just like to try to stay as clean as I can. Now a good clean finger. And pretty good. I think a little more red now. Yeah, a little bit more red in there, and that will bring it to life. That'll bring it. Because the blue will push it closer to a cool green, a cool greenish gray. But now I just need more alizarin. That's the key now. So sometimes you just got to get the right balance. So that's what I want. You'll see. Just hang in there. You got to prove the point. It's grayish, but I want it grayer. So the red, like I said before, everybody, whenever you're in doubt, red is the way. Red will take everything where it's supposed to be, because you can't make it right without red. So here comes the red, guys. So I was just less on the red and more on the blue. Now I'm getting the red in, and this should do it. That's your job. Just kind of balancing out the color properly. Look how black that is, though. You know what? Oh, man, you know what? As long as I'm doing this, I might as well say this, because my brain is going right there. Once you get this black color and you add yellow to it, it's so good. You can do Bill's trees like there's no tomorrow. Oh, man, you're just like the happiest person in the world. You really are. And then you did it all just with a couple of colors. That's crazy, huh? You really can make some beautiful trees with yellow, red, and blue. Make your black, then just add more yellow to it, and the green is just, it's lively because it's a base color and it's got all the colors in it. So it's very lively, very like for instance, I was told a long time ago, ivory black is a great color, but you should use a lot of colors with ivory black because it's sort of a neutral black, and you need value, you need life in your colors. So if you're doing just ivory black and you don't have some reds in it and little bits of blue or other little sparkles of color, you're just going flat. But when you make your color, like Bill used to make his darks, did you notice that? Lizarin, phthalo, Van Dyke brown, ivory black, all shoved into one dollop, and then boom, the tree was lively. It wasn't boring because those little dollops of paint are mixed into the tree everywhere. Then you add yellow into it, and boom, you got this beautiful tree. Got to pay attention, though. That's the thing. All right, white, you guys, watch this. White here. I should have a good gray. And El Suceso. Did you like that? That was good, huh? Now, you want to go back to brown? All you have to do is take yellow and red, put it back in there, and the black will go brown again. Unbelievable, huh? Or you can literally, I'll show you. I'll just do it real quick. Watch. Well, let me do a little bit of this. Watch this, guys. I'm going to grab some of this. If I just put a little bit of this here and I add yellow and alizarin to it, it'll go back to brown. And then you're going back down to the foreground. So here's your tree color with yellow in it. There's your ground color. Even though it's black, there's your ground color. So if I put yellow in it, right here, that gets green, and you go backwards in time. And then you add red to it, and you get brown again. I need a little bit more yellow. Let me grab this. There you go. Look, now I'm there. Now watch real closely, everybody. That's fun. I get a lot of attention when I'm painting. All right, watch this. Here's alizarin now. Now I'm going back to brown. What do you think of that? Look at that. Wow, that's a great tree color and a ground color. Now it's brown again. Does the camera pick that up, Lori? Does it see it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it sees it very well.
Isn't that cool? So here's the actual reality of it is once you use yellow, red, and blue in any painting that you're doing and make a base color like a black, you can go anywhere. You can go from the dark side back to the light side. Now, what do I mean by that? Oh, I was going to put, let me do this. Let me take this, put it here. And I'm going to add the permanent red just for fun. Okay, anybody up for that? If you guys are up for that, raise your hand. I can't see your hands, but I'm thinking you are. Okay, so now I'm going to take permanent red. I have it here, it's pretty thick. And I'm going to add it to that black and watch it turn brown. Now remember, oh, that's beautiful too, isn't it? Look. So I already made brown with black. I already made brown with violet and yellow. And if you add blue to any one of these, you can go back to black again. Oops. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that cool? Now, let me show you another little trick. This is insane, huh? Watch this. So if I take some of this brown that I made with the alizarin crimson and yellow, and I put it here, and I add yellow to it, I wonder what I would get. Maybe sienna, burnt sienna. Let's see. Oh, do I want to grab that? I'll grab both. Doesn't matter. Let's see if I get you don't need too much. Would I get a sienna color or a greenish color, like an olive green? Depends on how much you grab. Uh-oh. What's that? That's kind of an olive green right now. Well, it's brown. If I mix a little more. Now oh, that's nice. Let me check it. That's a dark sienna. What if I added a little more alizarin? Oh, that's pretty. Look, what if I did this, you guys? What if I added a little more alizarin to that sienna, that color, and I added a little more yellow to it? That's going to really bring out the sienna color. Look. Whoa. I'm getting there, huh? Look. Probably a little more yellow, though. Oh, that's going to be better. Oh, look at that. This is what Rembrandt did. You guys, this is what Bill did. All these guys know this stuff. Look, more yellow. It'd even be more. I can go all the way to the yellow side of the palette with this idea. As long as you're using all the colors to make a synergenic color, now I add a little more yellow, and I'll be definitely in the big sienna world. Look, that's Italian Tuscan color. Look, check that out. Look, guys. Am I boring everybody, Lori, at this point? Look.
Not at all.
How pretty is that? That's nice, huh? Now, one more thing on making black. Now, can I turn that back into black again? More red and more blue and black again. It's insane. But now watch this, you guys. You can do alizarin crimson, and this is kind of cool. Watch. I'll put the alizarin there. And phthalo green. And you got black. Boom. Just like that. Ready? But you need more alizarin than phthalo. So I'll pick up the alizarin, drop it here, and a little bit, start with a little bit, and add it, and you'll get black. And actually in art, they say that this has been said. I don't know who said it. I can't really tell you that. But I can tell you that, look how pretty that is. I can tell you that they say that phthalo green and alizarin crimson are one of the most perfect blacks you can get. And not only that, burnt umber and ultramarine blue are also a very dramatic black, and that was kind of used a lot in the Renaissance. So let's see if that looks gray. If it's a little green, I need more red. I take white, I'll put it here. I'll put my finger in what I just made there, mix it in, hopefully it's gray, and pretty good gray. It's a little warm gray. I could add a little more green to it, but it's kind of got off a violet hue, and there's a lot of violet in everything. Was that good? Did I answer the question?
You sure did, Tom. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, what you saw just now is just a sampling of the color course that we recorded. We recorded 3.5 hours of Tom going through how to make all different kinds of colors, how to get to any color from anywhere you are. And that's the way he teaches, especially the higher up you go into the, once you get through the master class and beyond, he's changing that color all the time. And that's one of the things that happens when people go through that class is they become master of color. They never, ever have to worry about or wonder how they're going to get to a color. That's where you learn that. So stay tuned. We are going to have a color course. We're still working on putting it together, and we'll let you know when it's available. But this was just an example of what you have to look forward to. So thank you so much, Tom.
I have fun for me. I love doing that.
Yeah, I know you love color. All right. So Elizabeth says, I would love to hear more about the rosemary oil you use to clean your brushes. So in the video, you mentioned that. So
okay, I'm prepared for that. I got some rosemary oil. Okay, so here's what you can do. Now, if you have a hard time cleaning small brushes, I have to turn around sideways for this too. Okay, sorry about that. You can pick up some rosemary oil. Well, this is not the rosemary. Can you grab the rosemary for me up there, Linda? Thank you. That's my wife, Linda, you guys. She's running the whole show here, and Lori. Okay, so you can pick this up at a health food store, just rosemary oil. And if we come down to the palette area, Lori, I can show, I have a little bit of Magic Clear in here, okay? So all you need is a couple of drops. Now, you have a couple of choices here. You can use this. It's non-toxic. You're not going to have fumes that you're going to breathe, but it does have a pretty strong odor. So if you add it to your Magic Clear, a few drops, 2 or 3, and you clean with it, it'll be an accelerator for cleaning. Because a lot of these oils that were used in the past act a little bit like mineral spirits and turpentine. And you can look it up if you want. Rosemary was one of them. Lavender does the same thing. So you can add a little bit of lavender and that'll help too. This is very strong smelling. So you want to put it in some oil where it's kind of knocking down the smell a little bit. But if it's by itself, it can be very overwhelming, but it's non-toxic. And it will clean your little brushes really well. So do you have a little brush over there I can show, Linda? I'll show you. I only added a few drops, so let's see. Yeah, well, hold on, guys. Yeah, like a flat, yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's better. Hold on, guys. Ready? So I'm going to get this brush a little bit dirty, okay? And I'll get into the dark down here, okay? Now I have another container that I brought out so I don't want to ruin my good container. So I'm just mixing into that dark, if you see the palette here. Now I have another container. The rosemary is in with the Magic Clear. I'm going to pour some of this in here and use this container to clean with. Okay, so I don't normally do this. I kind of have a bigger container, but if you're just doing small brushes, this will work. This will help. So look, it's already coming off. So look, just wipe it off like this.
Hey, Tom, go ahead and move that down on the palette, please. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe so down in that
paper towel on the palette, right, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hold on. I've got it. Hold on. I'm going to fold this up. Put it right here. Okay. Can you see the paper towel, Lori?
Yes.
So now I'm dipping in. Okay. There's no sleight of hand here. I didn't change brushes, guys. So if you see, oil will clean it, but this stuff really does help it. One more time. I don't even know how clean this brush was. Sometimes I don't get to them. Look at that. It's taking it all out. You see that? So it acts like mineral spirits. And little brushes are hard to clean, by the way. One more time.
Hey, Tom, bring the container down over the top of that paper towel
Over the
when you
top,
do that.
like
We can't,
this?
we can't, yeah, there you go. We can't see a dip in it.
Okay.
Notice he's also not touching the bottom or the sides.
Yeah, I'm trying to save that. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
if he
save
just
it.
touches the oil, then it won't, the pigment won't go in the container.
Okay, this is getting good. Do you see that now? Look. Now I really loaded that brush. Wow. But now we're good. Now look how nice the brush is. Look. Wow, that's really nice. It's soft, you guys. Really soft. It acts like mineral spirits. How can I say this? Turpentine's gooey. Even the non-smelling turpentines. This has a smell to it. I wish they would make it without a smell. But if you put it in with the oil and clean, you can have some really nice, clean, small brushes. And that's when you should use it. You know, if you're going to use the bigger brushes, clean those with soft scrub and soap and water and vegetable oil. But do it to your little brushes. That's important because this is really soft now. It's really nice. Really nice. See that? I like that. I'm saving this one.
All right.
That's
Thank
got a
you so
nice
much.
fresh, huh?
I said, thank you so much, Tom.
Pretty good, huh?
Yep.
You'll find
Now-
out when you add it a little bit and you add it in a little bit, you'll be able to determine how clean it gets and stuff. And you'll see that your small brushes are going to last longer. So try that, you guys. Awesome.
Okay.
Good question. I like that question. I like all the
All right.
questions, but that was a unique question. I haven't, well, because I said it on the program, didn't I?
Right,
There, I
right,
opened
yes.
up the door, Lori.
Yes. So, Tom, Bridget wants to know, can you go over putting on the highlights in the bottom right corner? Mine are not bright enough. And that's on the painting that you're talking about. Can you go over putting on the highlights in the bottom right color? Mine are not bright enough. And I'm wondering if I can add
I can
this to
see
the
the painting.
screen right there.
Yeah.
How's that, Tom?
Now, are we talking about my painting or her painting?
Well, we aren't seeing hers yet, so she's asking. Maybe you can go
Okay.
over how you did it.
Yes. One of the ways to do that is just wait. Let you have time. I did this in like 54 minutes trying to break it down and explain it for you. But you can wait and literally go back when it's like 3-4 days later when it's still tacky and just go right back in with a little bit more highlights on top and everything. So give it some time to sit there and kind of get sticky like. When the paint gets sticky, it really is easier to apply it. It takes a special touch actually to really apply highlights on when the paint's wet. That takes a little bit of time and control. Another thing I didn't bring up, do you remember when I was adding all that blue down at the bottom in the green area? There was another reason for that because I knew I was eventually going to red. So if my red wasn't going to pop up, the blue in there would at least get it to hold up a little bit because red on green turns brown. So I already had that thought in my head, get that blue shoved down in that green. And by the time I put my red on, it'll hold up easier. So that's just an extra thought for you. Did I answer that? I'm not sure if I answered that right.
Yeah, Bridget, if you need further clarification, please let us know in the chat or just confirm that he answered the question. And we'll come back to you if not.
And can I say something else, Lori? Hold on.
Yeah.
If you don't think it's going on really well and it's still wet, your magic white is going to help it because it's going to be thin on thick. So if you add the magic white into a little bit of that yellow, the thin paint will go on the thick paint. You see? So it's thin on thick and thick on thin. The magic white is thin, so you put the thicker paint mixed into it deeply. So then your thinner paint will go on that after you apply thicker paint.
And that's with a very light touch, right, Tom?
Very light touch.
Very light touch. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bridget also wants to know, can you show how to double load the liner brush for limbs and their highlights? Tom, this is my favorite thing.
I know it is.
Can you? I'm so happy, Bridget.
I can show you that.
I
Yeah,
love
hold
it.
on.
I love it when he does that.
I know you
So-
do. Let me move a couple of things over real quickly because I really kind of worked that palette. So let me move a couple of things. But hang in there,
Okay.
guys. I'll just
Okay.
make all of this into dark because then I can adjust it again. I really like that brown. That turned out nice. Every time I see that happen, it's exciting to me, you guys. I could take this brown and make a yellow ochre color out of it. I can add yellow and keep going that way. And eventually it becomes yellow ochre with a little green in it. Boom, I'm done. It's so good to know that stuff. You got to do our color course, you guys. It's just so cool. All right. I'm going to clean this up so you can see it really well. And I would put my brown right between the blue and the whatever. All right, ready? All right, I'm taking an art wipe, cleaning this up so you guys can see it. Okay. Let's see. This palette is looking a lot more wild than what I work with. All right, so let me take the color I mixed here, this dark, put it over here, put a little bit there. Okay, and I'll use white because it'll show up really well. I'm probably going to need to take the, I'm going to need something to put it on. So I'll need the canvas. So I'm going to have to remove this painting, you guys. Since you brought up the question, I need something to paint on to do it. So let me get this off. Oh, and by the way, if you're ever working in these kind of layers, make sure you lay your painting flat so everything dries really well. Okay, so now I'm going to put this up horizontally. I primed this canvas earlier today with a white house paint gesso, bright white. So I need a background. When you do something like this, you can't just paint it. You got to have a background up there. So I have to have something in the background to hold up what I'm going to do. So I'm going to paint some, real quickly, I'm going to paint some kind of a sky or something. Just put in some blue or something. So I'll get some white up here, wet on wet. And I'll drop into some blue. Are we up here? Okay. So I'm just going to wing it, you guys. I'm going to throw this in just to get it in here. All righty. Getting a little bit up there. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my magic clear because I didn't put much on there. Put a little bit on there and spread that paint a little bit more. See that? Look what you can do with that. Isn't that kind of cool? Because this has been sitting out for a while. I was using thicker paint as a textural thing earlier today. So this is a really bright blue right now. And maybe a little hint of alizarin in there would kind of throw it off. Just to do something a little different, kind of shade it up differently. Not too much though. Make something different. Okay, so we're going to think about just double loading. Okay, so I needed something where it would show up because you can't just, white, if I put the dark down and I put the white hits the white background and nothing happens. So you see nothing. Okay. So liner brush, a little bit of, and some white down here. So tenebrism is light and dark. So this is the first thing in my mind is light and dark. Okay. But you have colors you always want to work with. But since you brought up the question, we're going to do light and dark. So I need a little bit of the oil. I need my brush. Let me use this brush. I think this brush is better. This brush is a little looser. All right, here we go. We're back into this now, guys. Look, this is, I call a fish out of water. That's kind of funny, huh? So what do you want to do now? Watch this. Watch, guys. You get this brush conditioned. You really kind of get in here for a minute. Give yourself about 30 seconds. Really get the paint in there. Then what you're going to do is just pull down one side of the brush and get rid of that paint. Now you can use it on a paper towel too. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get the dark off of one side mostly. Then you come through the white like this, and you leave it on one side and the dark on the other. Now, if you look at this and you see some light on the other side, which I see a little hint of, just come back to the dark again and pull back through it, and you'll get the dark back again. Because it takes a little time to understand this, okay? Now, your job now is to find out which side do you want the light to come from, the right or the left. Since most of you are right-handed, it doesn't really matter. You just have to know how to control it. So hold it up like this, lay it on, and pull up, and you'll see the light is on one side and the dark is on the other. Now did you see it? It is showing up. How close up are you on that? I'll do it again. So now I'm going to wipe off the brush on a paper towel. Okay.
Linda, go ahead and zoom in a little tighter on that close-up if you can.
I'm going to wipe off the brush with the paper towel, get rid of the paint a little bit, and I'm going to dip back into my medium, the Magic Clear, load up the brush again. You got to wipe your brush or you're going to start turning it gray, because some of the white will turn the dark gray. So you know, I probably should have wiped it on a paper towel, would have been better. So I'm going to do it down. You can't see that, can you? You can? I'll try it on a paper towel. I'm going to wipe it off. That takes more off. Then I'm going to run through the white. I'm going to use this. It's thicker. Well, that's better. It's a lot thicker. So there's the dark. There's the light. I'm going to try to make this show up, Lori. There it is. I'm really trying to emphasize it. Do you see that? That's better. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, you guys. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Tom.
But you better have a good brush, because I try to use my brushes until there's no more use in them at all. That sounds a little nuts, huh? So then you got that up there. Now you're making a branch. I wiped off the brush on a paper towel. That worked better, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Paper towel. So then wipe off your brush again, like that. Just drag it off on the paper towel. It takes the paint off better. Then stay on the same side that you wiped and go through your white. I mean, you're going to ruin your white a little bit. You know that. And then maybe you can make a branch or something. Go this way. See, look. And you got to get the brush conditioned to work for you. Look how nice that is. You see that?
Yeah, that's great, Tom.
So,
all right, Bridget, there you have it.
There you have it. Was that good?
Yeah.
And boy, you can do birds with this really well. I mean,
you want to do a bird, Tom?
I'm going to do a bird. I'm just thinking, should I? Yeah, I should. I'm wiping off the brush, cleaning it completely. And you can clean your brush again in case you think you're getting too much paint. Dip it in your oil, just clean it on your paper towel. Then go back into your dark with, back into your dark and wiggle it around, condition it for 15, 30 seconds. Wipe it off again on one side, go back to the light, keep it, don't roll your brush or twist it because then you'll just keep it real flat across the light. Did you see how I did that? I laid it really flat across the light. I might have a little too much at the end. Okay, there it is. You can kind of see it. You got to really examine it. I'm going to do a bird. So I'm going to touch it like this. I'm going to touch, create a V shape, go this way, and then I'm going to turn it this way towards me a little bit, and then go this way with the dark underneath and pull out. Do you see the bird? Or is it just my imagination?
No, that's great, Tom. That's
Bill
great.
used to do the birds upside down, the seagulls, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He did the bird this way and that way, and then he did the upside down seagull because it's going to dive.
Yeah.
And his imagination was in there with that. You got to realize Bill was on a boat all the time out in the, fishing and stuff, so he got to observe all that. Anyhow, that could be the beginning of a tree and some birds, and and then you can turn your birds red if you want. They could be cardinals or whatever. You just make it up. But I needed a background so you could see that because you just can't see it white on white is nothing.
All right.
Right?
Thank you so much, Tom.
you're
Dawn,
welcome.
do you have another question for us? All right. Tom, Bridget wants to know, what if the paint on the palette thins it down so much? Okay, so now we're back to where you were thinning the paint using the liner brush. So this question goes with that first question about how to load the liner brush. What if the paint on the palette thins it down so much that the limbs don't show up? Can I go back over it?
Yes, ma'am. Do you want me to thin it so much it doesn't show up? I could show you. It's all, Bridget, is it Bridget? Yeah, Bridget. It's all about controlling the amount of paint. And if you have too much oil, it'll be translucent. If you have just the right amount, it'll be fluid, but it won't be translucent and it won't be super thick. So you got to practice with this, okay? It's just a thing you got to sit down and make sure it's just right. It's a little hard to show it in a dimensional thing like this, but you just don't want it so thin it's not there and it runs off the canvas, but so thick you can't move it with the liner. So you got to find that happy medium. It's sort of in between. And if you just do a few branches and keep doing them, but if you do them thin enough and they're just not there, you can always go right back over them with thicker paint, a little bit thicker. I've done it a million times and it works out perfect actually sometimes. Sometimes you discover you can put more color in the branch when it's thinner and you can add more red, you can add yellows in there and purples and make the branch like a Monet. You got all these different shades in there on a basic color, and then you add all these different colors in all at once. Mm-hmm. That can actually work too.
Yeah, and Tom, you were saying go in with thicker paint because the thicker is going to mix with the thin paint that you've already put on there.
It's going to mix right in. It's going to melt into it, Yeah. So let's say, like I was telling you with the Vaseline idea, if you guys were here last time, if I put Vaseline on my hand real thin and rub it in, and then I get it down deep in there and I add thick on it, it stays there and you can kind of control it to the amount of thickness you want. But if it starts out thick and it doesn't go, and then you put more thick on it, it mushes. It kind of mushes together. And that's why you need a thin to go actually on the thick. But that's a little hard to do, but it can be done.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Tom. Dawn, do we have another question? Okay. Mr. Cranford wants to know, can you add paint, a wet on wet painting after it has sat or dried for 2 weeks? Can you add paint to it?
Yes.
Can you paint on top of it? Can you talk
Yes.
about
And
that?
that's absolutely 100% true, because Leonardo worked on the Mona Lisa for 6 years. How did he work on a painting for 6 years? Pre-wetting it. And one of the ways you pre-wet a painting is if you're half dry, you can strategically go on with a good oil. You have to have a good oil. And here's what I mean by that. It can't be an oil that's going to dry so fast, or a medium, that when it sits there, it's going to make the paint underneath crack. So the Magic Clear is perfect for that, because the Magic Clear doesn't do that. It doesn't dry super fast. It dries and oxidizes at the same rate that the oil is underneath. That's important. And I had to talk to Lori about that till my brain almost exploded. That was a hard one, huh, Lori? And the other thing about it is, if your painting is dry, you can literally go over that dry painting with the Magic Clear, rub it in real deep when it's dry, and repaint anything you want. Go right back over it all. The other good news about this is that the oil, the Magic Clear that's inside of the Magic White is the same. So if you were to take just the Magic White alone by itself and start retouching things on your painting, you wouldn't even have to add the Magic Clear, because this is already in there combined with it to oxidize and be applied and stick. Let me put it this way, you guys. It sticks to the canvas like a crown on your tooth. So, because if you have a crown, if you have your tooth ground down, and you have to have something in between to hold that tooth there, some kind of bonding agent. Just look at the Magic White in your brain as a bonding agent, and also the Magic Clear. And it's not a deterrent bonding agent, because it doesn't destroy, it enhances. Actually, I just did a commercial without even planning to, but it's so good. I mean, I can't even explain this part of it. It makes me feel so good that I can do this without worrying about what's going to happen to the painting later. That's really the key here. No cracking. Lori, do you have any of my paintings that are over 5, 6 years old that are starting to crack or anything?
Nothing's cracking, Tom.
You're never going to see it.
It will ever crack.
You're never going to see it.
Yep. And they're
Did
brilliant.
I answer the question, though?
Yes, you did. Yes.
I keep asking that because sometimes I kind of veer off. That's just my brain. No. It's the way I operate.
No, it's just the way, Tom, that you give us far more than what we ask for, and that's outstanding. Thank you. John, do we have another question? Okay, so what was the color with the burnt umber to make black? When you added, what was the color? The burnt umber, the dark sienna that you made, that color, the burnt umber? Or
okay.
Was it dark? Anyway, what did you say to add to that to go back to black?
Oh, just add blue.
Yeah.
And if it starts turning a little bit greenish, more red, then more blue, then you're done. Any brown that you have, you add more red, more blue, slowly, add the red first, then the blue slowly, and just keep working it till you see the black again. And that's what happens. It doesn't matter what it is. Like if I take yellow and red and I add blue, I'm going to get a really kind of a real murky green, kind of an olive dark green. If I add more red to it, alizarin, I'm going to get brown. If I get brown, I add more blue. Then I'm going to get black. If it doesn't turn black and is still in a green value, then I add more red and then a little more blue and I get black. The red is the secret to everything. Everything. It was no mistake that I added that red in there. I had to do it because my brain thinks that way. Because see, you got a blue sky, and then I put a little bit of a shadow tone underneath it, so I'd have some kind of an idea of a base color underneath. I did that instinctively. I don't know if you know that. Let me say this real quickly. If you look at old Renaissance paintings, a lot of ultramarine blue was used for a reason, because the ultramarine blue has sort of a blue violet color to it. So you could adjust that with more red or with more blue in it, make it look more blue or more violet. But it was very helpful because blue on its own is just kind of, fake looking. But if you gray the blue down, and red, you have to have red to gray it because that makes you black, then it looks more natural. So reality check is red's going to be in a little bit of everything. I had a teacher, when I first started painting, I never understood this until probably a few years later. She would put a little drop of burnt umber in every color. And I thought, what's the purpose of that? I had no idea why she wanted to do that. And she said, there's always a little bit of a red hue in everything. I went, really? So I started doing that. And then I learned that a lot of the masters, sometimes they would paint the whole canvas a reddish tone before they even put any color on there or anything. So do the red. If you got brown, do the red, a little more red and a little more blue, and you'll start working towards black. Then you add yellow to it, you got beautiful green.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Tom. Again, he covers all of that in the course we're working on. So it'll be a few months before that's available. I'm hoping it'll be available so you can put it on your Christmas list. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. It might be too soon. All right, Tom, we don't have any more questions. Is that correct, Dawn? I think that's what you said. No more questions. So I thank you, Tom, for answering these questions so thoroughly. And I thank everyone who asked the questions. That's what really makes an evening like this a lot of fun, because there's so much learning that can go on. And, a lot of times somebody might ask a question you're thinking, but you don't ask or whatever. But never be afraid to ask us questions, because Tom is more than willing to share his knowledge. So Bridget says it's on her Christmas list. Thank you, Bridget.
That's awesome, Bridget. I really like that. That's great.
Yeah.
It's only going to help you.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So what I'm going to do now, okay, all right. We've got one more question that just came in that I just saw. Hi, I paint slowly. What do I do? If liquid white, we'll call it magic white, dries up before I finish my painting.
Oh, okay. So if you're on your painting and it's already drying, then you go to a different spot. If you're, let's say you're working over here and it's already drying up. Well, some areas are going to dry faster or slower. If the whole thing's dried, then you're just going to use, now we're going to talk about magic white, because magic white has the clear oil in it that we have, that's a bonding agent that makes sure that when you apply it to a dry surface, it's a bonding agent. It bonds to the painting. You don't even really have to go out and buy another medium, because it's going to bond. It's going to stick to it like a crown on a tooth. Other whites and stuff like that of that nature, they could not bond. So ours is going to bond. That's guaranteed. But if you don't have the magic white and you have the magic clear, you're going to rub it on any dry area, very thin coat, clear. Don't use much, and just rub it down with a paper towel. I used to say this in class, like as much oil as I have on my forehead, which is a little bit oilier than most people, but it's just a thin film. And then you work onto that, because what you're doing is you're putting that paint into a bonding agent to work on the surface of that dry canvas. Does that make sense to you? That's important. It's called oiling out. It's every great master in history knew about that. They all did it, and they all used different forms of mediums to do it. But one thing they made sure about the medium that they used was that it was going to be tested, that it would not drip off the canvas, and that it was going to bond the paint. And this really comes down to that bonding concept, because then you don't have to worry about chipping or painting cracking or falling off. One day you walk in, your tree falls off your painting, then you got to call somebody to move it. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? So in reality, that's what it's, you've got to have that bonding agent, and not all things will do that. Some mediums will do that, but they're very dark in color, and they stink to high. Look, I mean, look at this, you guys. I'm going to do this so you see it, in case you don't know. This is awesome. There's no fumes in this room. The only thing that really smells strong right now would be the rosemary oil I talked about earlier, but I knocked that down with the oil so that I don't have to worry about it or think about it. But this stuff is great. I mean, I'm in the room here and there's no smells, but I know one thing. I know the Magic Clear is that bonding agent. So everything I do with it, I make sure that I'm keeping it in every color. So whether I put it on the canvas and rub it out when it's dry, or it's in the Magic Clear, or I could even dip my palette knife in the container and mix it a little bit in the color. That would be great too. It'd be an awesome thing to do. Just a drop in it, mix it in thoroughly. So you've got the best of all worlds then. Now you're happy and you're confident that everything's working out for you. And you're not yellowing up everything. It's not turning dark and, you know, and smelly and everything else, you know. It's a different world, you guys. We can paint non-toxic and clean. Why not?
Yeah, no longer do you have to paint in your garage or with a window open or anything like that. You can paint right at your kitchen table or kitchen counter. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Lori, should I show how to add it to the color just a little bit?
Add the Magic Clear to the color? Sure.
Yeah, because like if you're sitting there and you've got your, let's go to the palette and I'll do it in the yellow. Okay.
Tom,
so I have the yellow out. Okay. I have the yellow out and I want to go put something, you know, grass or something on the canvas, and it's already dry. Let's suppose it's dry. Okay, so what I can do, actually, do we have a dry canvas here? Let me show. Grab that Monet I did over there, Linda. No, no, this one over here, behind the door. I got an idea, you guys. Hold on, this just hit me. Okay. So I'm going to move this, and this is a painting that I can retouch. I'll show you how to do this, you guys. This is fun. I will show you. So this is one that I did with a student. Okay. So you got a lot of choice. You got a lot of pictures you can do in this world.
Hey, Tom, just let us know where you're going to go on that canvas so Linda can get the shot up.
All right, do you see this this one area right here where it's lighter and that's a little more yellowish? I'm going to go right in here.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Are you there, Lori?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, couldn't hear you. Okay, so I have my Magic Clear in my container, and this is dry, guys. Look. See that? Really dry. And I want to go back and work on it. So I could take my dry brush, dip into my Magic Clear, and just think about this as a bonding agent. I can put it out on the painting like this, very clear, and coat it like this. But now I don't want it thick, so you have to come back, and this is called oiling out. Okay? Now I just want to come back, and you feel it like this. And if it's really, really oily, then you've done too much. You don't really need that much. So then you take paper towel. Now, all the great masters did this. And you wipe it off like this, rub it down. And now I can go in and I can take another brush. I'll use this nice Alexander foliage brush. And I can do a couple of things here. I can just touch the paint, or I could take my palette knife and watch this. On the palette, I can take my palette knife, touch a little bit of oil, knock most off, and then just blend it in to the paint itself. I don't have to do this, is what I'm telling you. But this is another way to assure that you're making sure that your paint is, look guys, look at how clear that is into that yellow. What more do you need? What, I got excited. What more do you need? A long time ago, somebody told me, he said, I don't like painting in oils because it smells. Well, this doesn't smell. What else? The other thing, he said, well, I don't like painting in oils because they add yellow oils into it and all this stuff. I said, we don't. What do you use? Clear oil. He said, what? Because acrylics, you usually use water so they look brighter. Well, those days are over with. Alexander's changing that mode there. That's not happening anymore, everybody. We're breaking the mold. Mold? Yeah, we're breaking the mold. All right, I said that. So you could do that, okay? And then you can take your brush, your clean brush, and you can either touch the thick paint a little bit or the thinner paint. It's up to you. I think I'll touch the thick. I didn't blend that. I can take a little bit of this, break it down, and I can tint this. I can go up right up on the canvas, and I'll show you a couple of things. Watch. I'll go up here and I'll just tint. Look how vibrant that got. Look. Now that's called oiling out and glazing on there. I'm just toning it. Do you see that? Look how pretty that is. And that brings another dimension into the painting. I should put it in the water if I do that. Now, the beauty of that is if I keep it thin enough, then what I could do strategically, I can go and I can add white to my yellow. Keep your eyes up here. Watch this. I can add white to my yellow. I'll add a little bit more yellow. Now, what I did now is I thickened the yellow and I made what's called an impasto. It's thicker with the white, because anytime you add white, the paint's a lot more impasto. It means thicker, okay? Then I can come in like this and I can re-highlight on top of that thin paint and readjust anything I want. I'm in what they call paint heaven. Did you guys know there was a paint heaven? Look at this. This is paint heaven. When you understand this, there's no stopping you from working on a dry canvas, a wet on wet, or anything. How cool was that? Of course, I want a little bit in the water, look, because I wet that up a little bit, and then I can kind of soften that down. Bada boom, bada bing. I mean, that's paint heaven when you understand how to do that and go back and retouch and fix things. I can keep doing this forever. Now, at a certain point, you got to say to yourself, hey, wait a minute, Tom, you're a little overdoing it a little bit. Now, this area is dry down here, but I want you to see this right here. This is very dry. I don't have to oil this out because the bonding agent in the Magic Clear will adhere to this with the oil that I just mixed. So watch, into the pigment. So I can take this or the Magic White and I can put this on directly like this. And I could literally go back here with this and put this right on here and create another dimension to this, look, with light. But I can also just go to the white and the yellow and I have the same effect, but the white's going to lighten it a little bit. I hope you guys love that. That's a great idea, isn't it? And I would say that's kind of an opener to what we teach. That's just a fraction of what I can tell you that's going on in the Beyond class. That's just touching a little fraction of the surface of what could be done in painting.
Hey,
And when
Tom.
you know that, you feel really good. You feel confident. It makes you feel like, oh, man, I can take an Alexander painting and turn it into fine art. You can do that. I've done it. And you know what? People say, that's the wet on wet. I said, it's the wet on wet with fine art in it too. And they love it.
Yeah, that's great. So, Tom, Jason said that Bill must be in paint heaven.
Bill is definitely in paint heaven.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
hope to join him one day.
yeah. Well, not anytime soon, Tom.
No, I hope,
Yeah,
we'll see, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
never know.
No, no.
So,
All right,
so
Tom.
maybe that's a good time to say, hey, get in there quick before you never know, right, Lori?
I guess so. I guess that's a good point. So, Tom, what I want to do now is I want to show the review that we did earlier today,
Okay.
and then everybody, when that video is done, we will go ahead and sign off, and we'll be done for tonight. But what I want to do, the reason I want to show you this is I want to show you what, it's one thing to watch a video and to learn how to paint by watching a video. It's another thing when you get a master artist feedback and you get, you get a trained eye looking at your painting and giving you suggestions. That's, in our opinion, is where the real growth comes in. And that's part of every program that we do with Tom. So I want to show you that clip. And also, again, we hope that you will paint the painting that Tom put up there, the Solitary Majesty. We hope you will paint it as many times as you want. Submit one by, it'll probably be like maybe October. We'll have to figure out when we're going to do the reviews. So plan on having it done at the end of September. So we have time to do the reviews. And then October 6th is when we'll be back together again to go through some more of these reviews. So Tom, I want to thank you so much. Thanks for all the great knowledge that you bring to us. And I know everybody really had a good time tonight and learned a lot. So thank you
Lori.
so much for being so willing to share your knowledge.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is what I wake up for.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video now. And then, like I said, when the video's over, we'll just sign off. So we'll see everybody soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks a lot.
Let's see if I can. Oh, here it is.
Underneath the mountain, right here where the gray trees come in, if you leave a I like what you did here with the trees. That's really nice. If you leave a little bit more, I'm going to jump my arrow over to mine so I can show you. You see how I left all that misty white down here? That opens up the door for a lot of haze for you. I like what you did.
All right. You guys, we thought we had the video.
More.
We thought we had the video problem solved. Doesn't look like we do. It played earlier. I don't know what happened, but anyway, to give you an idea, here is Rhonda so graciously let us use her painting tonight. This is Tom's on the left. This is hers. And he's going to walk through. And I don't know why it's not playing tonight, but we will we'll get it figured out. So we're really sorry about that. I don't know why. It was playing earlier when I tested it. I'm going to try it one more time. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then we'll just go ahead and sign off now. So thank you, everybody.
It would give you a little bit more distance at it, like kind of an angle, like you're pushing it away like this. Gives you a little bit of foreshortening. So that's one thing that I'd like to bring up for you. I like what you did here with the trees. So that's really nice. Let's take a look at this down underneath the mountain, right here where the gray trees come in, if you leave a little bit more, I'm going to jump my arrow over to mine so I can show you.
Okay, so you see the arrow is not moving. The arrow should be moving, so I'm not sure why it isn't working now. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Just know that this is, see, the arrow was moving just a minute ago. So the way he does this is he operates the arrow and he walks through the painting and he talks about the different areas and what he really likes about what she's done, and then also what she can do to make it better. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, and we hope that you'll join us again in the future. But plan on mark October 6th on your calendar. That's the day that that's Tom's birthday, and we're going to be back together on that day. So take care, everyone. Thanks for coming on. Bye-bye.